Yo, hello. So in this video, I want to show you how you can eliminate distractions so that you can gain 10 plus hours back in your week. Now, as a sort of high performing man or dad, time is really critical, right? It's something that I know in my life, it always feels like there's just not enough time. And something that I personally used to do was indulge in a lot of distractions because I wanted to chill out, right? And my perception of chilling out was watching Netflix or scrolling through my phone or just sitting on the sofa, watching TV, binging TV series, watching films. And if I'm honest, that's been the story for most of my life. But since having a kid, I've just realized that I can either fill my time with that or I can fill my time with proper stuff. Okay, maybe that's playing with my kid. He's still pretty young, so it's probably not. He's probably not at the age to do that yet. He's only 3 months old. But it's still, I want to be able to do that. I don't have to be relying on Netflix. And I know a lot of parents haven't worked in the past with a lot of dads, especially, but parents. What they want to do is they spend all day at work, they come home, they then end up obviously sorting the kids out. Um, Quite often, if I'm honest, they're usually distracted on their phones or checking emails potentially or watching TV and trying, the kids want their attention. And then they've got to sort of house out, tidy up. By the time they're sort of getting finished, it's 9 o'clock. They want to wind down, so they want to start put on Netflix before they know it's midnight, and they've got to get up at 6 a.m. again, right? And this is why I want to go through this because if we can reclaim 10 hours back, we get more time to do things that we love, right? And actually, this is going to create a more fulfilling and happier life because when we eliminate these distractions and sort of bad habits, not only is it going to actually physically give us more time, but we're going to have more energy, we're going to have more focus. So, therefore, actually, when we get more focus, we're going to perform better at work. When we have more focus, we're going to be more present when we get home from work, or even more energy, right? We're not going to get those afternoon slumps where, it's 2:30 when I'm filming this right now, and I don't have that slump. I've been up since 5. The reason for that is because I set my life up for it to be to work with the high priorities that I've created for myself. No one else has dictated them to me. I've created them. I've decided on what they are. And because I've set the day up to focus. In fact, you know what? I didn't actually today, being truthfully transparent with you, because as soon as I got up, the baby needed feeding, and I do that in the morning. Usually, I get a bit of time to set the day up by myself. Sometimes you have to be flexible, right? And there's another key lesson there. Number three is because I've got more energy now, I can switch from work mode to home mode and be able to be there for the people I love. Don't always get it right. Just want to caveat that. So what I'm going to do is share my iPad. But of course, this is when technology always goes wrong, right? So let's see what's happening with this. Let's see if we can get it on. It's nothing as good as technology when you need it to work. So let's see. It's connecting. Yes, here we go. Right, so if we want to eliminate distractions, right? And get 10 plus hours back in our week. This is how I would do it personally. Now, before, I would go through all those things. So first of all, okay, it's not about willpower. It's not about trying to go cold turkey with these distractions and bad habits. I recently canceled Netflix, and I'm not telling you to do that. But what do we need to do to get 10 hours back? Well, we need to, first of all, rewire the brain. See, at the moment, it's craving distraction, right? So at the moment, we're sort of in this just we've wired our brains to crave instant gratification, to crave distractions, okay? And these are hijacking our focus. So it's not just at work, it's at home as well. So we need to rewire the brain because if we do this, right, and if we rewire it to crave discipline, if we rewire it to be more focused, then ultimately, when we're actually at work, we're going to get more done, right? When we're at home, we're not going to need to our the things that I've just talked about to wind down. So how do we do that, right? Well, this is literally the first step of my dopamine reset program. And this is how we reset dopamine pathways. Because what I mean by we've wired our brain for distraction, it's actually for dopamine, right? And if I just look over here, right, we've wired our brain like this. So let's just say this is a seesaw, okay? We've got pleasure here, pain here. So when we do something like scroll through social media, okay? Or we watch TV, or we eat a bit of junk food, we drink some alcohol, we procrastinate as well. This is also one. We instantly increase our pleasure, right? And so that goes, well, up, okay? Which means pain goes down. And that's good, right? So if we look at it, it's obviously, I'm not great at drawing, but it's going to be like that, okay? Pleasure's high and pain's low. But then the thing is, the brain likes a thing called homeostasis. So I'm not sure if you know what that means, but it basically means the brain likes to balance out the body. Now, you've probably heard of the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, all these sorts of things where it just wants balance inside the body. It wants things to be equal. So when we have this pleasure pain sort of pathway and it sees that pleasure's gone up, it's like, no, like it feels good, but we can't have that, right, for too long. So what it does is it instead, if we erase this, oh, erase too much. Let's draw it again. What it does is it actually then, still got the rubber on, increases pain. Why have you just come up? Pain. Pain's gone up. Okay. So then pleasure is down here. The thing is, right, because your brain's the way it is, it doesn't just do it in an equal and opposite measure. So let's say you had this much pleasure, sorry. It doesn't just go, yeah, this is the same amount of pain, right? What it actually does is it goes, oh, I need to really change that. Okay. And it gives you way more, it exaggerates way more pain. Now, what are we talking about pain here? We're talking about low mood, low energy, okay, irritability, anger potentially, grumpiness, inability to focus, brain fog, lack of mental clarity, right? And so that's what it does. So as you can see here, right, when we actually, if we switch this around, right, let me see if I can get it like, it's quite a small rubber that. All right, let's just do that, okay? So if we can do that, but now we do it in a different way, we increase pain first, right? And this is actually in phase two. So I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, but I'll explain it in a second. We increase pain, right? Well, then we've increased pain here. What happens eventually is the brain increases pleasure. And studies show that, say, if you have a cold shower or cold bath, ice bath, that actually pleasure will double. You'll get double the dopamine release. Obviously, it'll go down to start with, right? Here, it'll go down, but it's going to double afterwards because it makes you feel good, right? And so actually we can end up with true pleasure in life by doing the hard stuff. That's why you've probably heard about everyone talking about doing the hard stuff brings about true pleasure, right? And that's actually the process in the brain. So we need to rewire the brain. So first of all, right, Come on, man. What is going on? Why is it not like right? We need to identify and eliminate distractions. So, in my opinion, we don't need to do them all at once. I think when you just go cold turkey, try to do it all at once, it's going to end up in this all or nothing approach where we're constantly trying to do everything, and that lasts for a couple of weeks, and then we feel like we've got no discipline or the willpower's gone. We end up, relapsing, going back. Pick one or two at a time. Don't go crazy. If it's reducing phone time, do that. Right? But we've got to identify now. A lot of the time, it's like, ooh, look, look at your screen time. Okay, how much is there? Like, is it 6, 7+ hours a day? You know, what is that one of the main priorities to reduce down and set a goal for that? Um, how many hours are you watching TV a day? Right? Because again, like I think one of those things is you can actually be shocked. If you start to look at those two alone, generally you probably get 10 hours back in a week quite easily, right? And so we need to rewire our brain. But first of all, we just actually have to identify and eliminate the distractions, right? So when we do that, we're then going to need to reset our dopamine system. Okay. So reset the dopamine system. Now, ideally, what we want to do is actually fast from these things. Okay. So actually fast from them. But we can also set boundaries and that can work too. And then lastly, we also need to build a clear vision of the man that we're wanting to become. Now, I find the easiest way to do this is to ask, what is the legacy that I want to leave? Right? What's the legacy that you want to leave? And I find answering that question very, very helpful in building out this vision. So, number two, I talked about this a little bit there, right? Um, what is the second one? We've already talked about it, the pleasure pathway, right? So, number two, so this is where we need to go after true pleasure in life. And I've talked about it here, right? This is how we actually do that because distractions are going to keep us in pain long term. Replacing bad habits with high performance routines, right, is going to be key here. So for me, this is something that we need to do, and especially the bookends of our day, the morning and evening. I tend to find that men have zero hype, men who want to get more out of life, who want to thrive at work, who want to get promotions or grow their business or just do the work to the best ability, but also want to balance that with being a great family man, a great dad, having fun, not being distracted at home with stuff at work, or even just like, working less in the first place. This can come from high performance routines because how we set up our day and how we end our day is literally the most important parts of the day. There is no other, like nothing else is as important. So setting up the high performance routines, it's going to create unstoppable momentum in your work, your health, your family life. It's also going to help that this continual process of rewiring your brain, sort of a long-term fulfillment and not quick dopamine spikes. Because what I found in my own life is when I set myself up at the start of the day, I'm instantly more energized, more focused, and calmer, more centered. And so when I've done that, that then filters into every aspect of my life. because I've worked on that myself first. And so when we go for quick hits, right? And we talked about this dopamine being released like a bit more when you do those things. Well, when we go for quick hits and we're going for dopamine hits, right? It's like a kid eating sugar. Like feels good and it's exciting and like there's so much buzz around until a crash happens, okay? And that's exactly the way this happens, And if we continually try and then we get this crash, it's like this vicious circle, isn't it? We've sort of, it's like the instant gratification, right? And then we sort of feel good. Ooh, that's a dodgy G. Feel good. Yeah, not surprised I deleted that. Okay, and then we crash. Feel low in mood, in energy. Okay, so then guess what happens? We want to feel good again. And so we do something that makes us feel good. And this circle happens on micro and macro levels, every day, every week, and every month even. So this is how we get true pleasure in life. So first of all, it's high performance routines. Second of all, creating energy. And that comes from high performance routines. But for me, it comes from a place of working from rest. And I think when you do this and you work from a place of rest, you feel just so much more grounded, right? And so you feel more energized. You feel like maybe it's work on yourself. And I'm not talking a place of rest from indulging in Netflix all the time. I'm talking about a place of rest of doing stuff that gives you energy. And that's very, very specific to the person. For me, it's getting out for a hike as one example. For you, it might be reading a nice book or something like that. Doesn't matter. It's so many different things, but this is how we do it. We create energy, okay? And ultimately, like a lot of guys wake up thinking that they should have energy, thinking and hoping that they're going to be feel better today. I hope that things go better today. I hope I have more energy. I hope I'm in a better mood. Hope, 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 hope. We have to create this for ourselves, okay? As you can see, it's physically wired in the brain. We have to create this for ourselves, okay? We can't just hope that we're going to wake up with energy. Yes, okay, some days we can do everything we possibly want to create energy to feel better, and it's not going to happen. That's just some days, but we've done everything we possibly can. Sometimes it's a bad night's sleep with the kids. Sometimes we do worry and stress about work, but most of the time we want to avoid that, right? And then number three, we want to go through the sort of rebuild process. So what does that mean? Well, this is, okay, basically, we want to start installing better beliefs into our life. We want to upgrade our beliefs. And because a lot of these come from just the things, or even just saying that to ourselves, not even necessarily belief, but, oh, I need to wind down. Half the time, I'm getting in from doing something on evening and I'm going straight up to bed. And these are things that I'm actively involved in, I'm a leader in. And so I have to go then straight to bed. I read and go straight to bed. I don't stick Netflix on and spend hours watching that and then have to get up at 5, feeling absolutely terrible. So we have to install better beliefs. Sometimes it is upgrading past beliefs that are holding us back, right? Shifting our identity to this new vision we've created in step one. We have to cement these new habits, right? And so we're going to do that through really, of course, upgrading our beliefs, but also I think through sort of peak performance. I haven't spelled that right, but it doesn't matter. Through a peak performance planning system. Now, again, this goes with high performance routines, but this is something for me that is basically what you're going to do is it's changed my life. It's reviewing, reflecting, and setting. That's goals, reviewing how the day's gone, the week gone, the month's gone, the quarter's gone, the year's gone. Reflecting, how can I do better? What lessons have I learned? And setting goals for the future. Okay. And then we might even be able to rebuild some of these habits. So let's say if you did fast from social media, you might be able to rebuild some of these habits in, but you might not even want to by this point. Okay. But you might be able to rebuild some of these habits into your life and start enjoying them in a more, I'm not saying that you need to get rid of social media forever, but you can enjoy it a bit more without scrolling unnecessarily through it, binge watching YouTube, binge watching, unless you can watch this sort of content, of course. Um, and so with all of these, right, if you're getting rid of all these distractions, okay, and I kind of said this right at the start, but if you're getting rid of all these distractions, you're then getting back, right, 10 plus hours a week. Now, how can you spend that? Well, you can invest it in your partner, your wife, whatever, right? You can invest it in your kids to spend quality time, right? Now, this is quality time. Quality time's not sitting around doing nothing. Quality time's engaging in conversation, playing with your kids, just being there and being 100% focused on them and nothing else, right? It has to be 100% focus. It can't be anything else, right? You can't have anything else on phones and all that sort of stuff. I tell you what's really interesting to me. If you go to a restaurant and you're having a meal with your partner, your wife, whoever it is, see how many couples are on their phones. And secondly, see how many, if one of them goes away, jumps on their phone. I really actively try not to do that. Sometimes it happens, right? But actively really try not to. So how else can you spend your time? We can spend your time learning and developing, right? So that could be for work. It could be for self-development. It could be for fun, maybe a topic that you like. That's another way we can spend this time. Fun, right? I think one big thing is when we get into this high performance sort of mentality, we can forget about fun because the structures and the thoughts around it is like, oh, I shouldn't be having any fun. But actually, it's one of the most important bits of this. And really, of course, the top, we're talking about these ones are probably the most important, right? For us. And then the rest might come. But to spend 10 plus hours back on partners, on kids, right? And of course, on yourself as well, which actually is also going to get highlighted because for me, you've got to lead yourself first. You've got to build and master your own kingdom, which is the next step after the dopamine reset. Is to after resetting your dopamine levels, after eliminate distractions, the next step is to master your own kingdom. And we do that by working on the inner self, working on the male psyche, on the male sort of archetypes. And working on yourself first is going to be key because ultimately when you sort of work, so this is how I view it myself, when you work on yourself first, okay, the people in your life benefit from that. And then the pursuits do as well. Terrible drawing. I could have let it do circles for me, but okay, when you work on yourself directly, the most important people in your life benefit from that. And then, of course, because you've got deeper connections, you feel more connected in relationships. You're having more fun probably with them. You're just enjoying time with them. There's less strain, there's less stress. That then shows in work because ultimately they then go back hand in hand, right? Because if you're not stressed about work, you're going to be more open and focused and present for the people that you love in life, which then means you're going to have more time and your family's going to see that you need the time to do it, to invest in yourself. So this video is all about really how to eliminate distractions and get 10 plus hours back. by rewiring the brain, increasing pleasure in life in the proper way, and looking at rebuilding process, installing better beliefs and upgrading them to spend, on yourself, on your partner, and your kids, learning, developing fun, whatever you want to do with that time. And that's how you can do that as a high performing dad or man who has a crazy schedule. Let me know your thoughts on that. If you're interested in joining the Dopamine Reset, this wasn't really to sell you anything, but if you are interested in doing this together, just give me a shout, drop me a comment saying reset, and let's have a little bit of a chat about it. But until next time, I'll see you soon.